Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and a new leveling method has been discovered recently. Many are heading back into the combat assembly as a low-level character, tagging as many elites as they can, gaining loads of experience once a max-level character slays them in combat. Some have been able to level from 60 to 70 in just a matter of hours, which opens up an opportunity for many to re-roll their mains and level a few alts to dive into the endgame content of Dragonflight. Recently, I've been getting messages from you guys asking me about the best classes to level currently, especially if you're looking to play something competitive in endgame content, with many of you looking forward to finding groups easily in Mythic Plus dungeons. A lot of classes have seen success in Mythic Plus content, but a few certain playstyles stand out from the rest, based on the endgame data we have been able to collect over the last few weeks. If you are someone looking to re-roll their main or level a few alts, then this video will go over some of the classes which are seeing early success, specifically in the Mythic Plus dungeon content of Dragonflight, which you could potentially pick up going forward. But right before that, most of you guys watching these videos are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do. So let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel as well as hit the bell if you're watching these videos anyway, especially if you're looking to get regular class and content updates for all the future Dragonflight builds. First, I want to highlight the DPS classes that have seen early success in Mythic Plus dungeons, starting with the melee playstyles. Just about every melee saw big improvements heading into Dragonflight, with many gaining new talent options which drastically improve the overall performance against large groups of enemy targets. Most melee generally find themselves more powerful, more popular, and more viable in the early season of Dragonflight than in the previous expansion. However, there are two specs that stand out from the rest and see the most success at the high-end dungeons. First one is going to be the Havoc Demon Hunter. Havoc is a well-rounded spec which enjoys a favorable position in raids, dungeons, and rated PvP. Havoc is easily one of the more popular melee DPS classes, sporting a healthy population numbers in all forms of endgame content. Havoc's damage is extremely competitive in dungeons, where you utilize builds which allow for fantastic AoE output without compromising much on single-target bosses. These Demon Hunters are also masters of control, capable of locking down entire dungeon packs with ease using Metamorphosis and Chaos Nova stuns, with Sigil of Misery striking fear into their foes. They also have superior survivability, with many new passives introduced to keep them healthy through high group damage, capable of creating darkness to relieve some pressure for the entire party. And to no one's surprise, the other melee finding success in dungeons is the Outlaw Rogue. While not the most popular melee in low and mid-tier dungeons, Outlaw Rogues are thriving in the most challenging spaces, dominating with high population count in the most difficult content. Outlaw Rogues dominate in AoE damage. While target count, it produces the most amount of damage within its target range, which makes it efficient when fighting a few dungeon packs at a time. Rogues provide group-wide stealth with Shroud of Concealment, which has strategic uses when trying to avoid tougher enemies and maneuver around the dungeon, as well as Atrophic Poison, which helps reduce team-wide pressure. Rogues are also extremely durable, sporting an excellent set of defensives which makes them incredibly reliable in combat. Next, I want to highlight the ranged DPS classes which are seeing the most success in Dragonflight dungeons. And just like the melee, a vast majority of ranged are seeing a lot of play, besides Fire Mages, Destruction, and Affliction Warlocks, which are seeing similar results though at a much smaller population sizes. Most ranged find themselves well represented in Mythic Plus dungeon content, though just like with the melee, we do have three that stand out from the most. First, we have the Demonology Warlock. Demonology has found itself a popular choice among caster classes with a healthy representation in raids, dungeons, and even PvP. This powerful demonic caster specializes in high AoE output with the Dreadhound bites and clusters of imps sent into implosion, and combats bosses with the might of a demonic pit lord, which does incredible amount of single target damage. Demonology is an absolute tank, capable of surviving the Cataclysm twice over with a mad array of defensive, passive, and actives. Demonology also supports its allies with health stones, soul stones, and can even debuff enemies with amplified curses of exhaustion and tongues, and shatters multiple foes at a time with Shadow Fury stuns. Next, we have to mention the Marksmanship Hunter, which has to be one of the most popular choices by far in Mythic dungeons, sporting one of the biggest class communities based on current available numbers. Hunters have suffered from lack of survivability in previous expansions, but slight improvements to their defenses have allowed them better reliability. This means you stay alive for much longer to deal damage, where they unleash a barrage which ricochets and rips through their foes. Marksmanship offers competitive damage which focuses on eliminating a handful of targets quickly and efficiently, which makes them excellent in the dungeon environment. Hunters are also fantastic at controlling large crowds, with traps to slow enemies' approach to a crawl or send them flying in all directions with high explosive trap, while Binding Shot helps stun multiple targets at once. And finally, we have to highlight the Arcane Mage, which is not the most popular class by the overall metrics, but they see a ton of play in the most difficult dungeon content. Arcane Mages are a power cannon, able to eliminate bosses and dungeon packs with the powerful cooldowns. They mark a singular target with the touch of the Magi, which stores a portion of their power and then explodes to decimate everyone nearby. Arcane is capable of supercharging their base output with buffs, procs, and effects, which help increase the overall performance. The combination of all of these effects together allows them to unleash insane damage combinations to obliterate everyone before them, which gives them the competitive edge in dungeon content. Mages also bring excellent mix of control effects to deal with large crowds, and powerful defensives to survive the majority of the encounters, which makes them easier to heal in groups. Next, I want to highlight the best tanking classes for Mythic Plus dungeons. A lot of tank specs saw big improvements in Dragonflight, with many of their talent trees offering new survivability bonuses as well as new offensive options. Currently, there's a large variety of tanks being played in low-end, middle, and high-end difficulty, which means all tanks have the capacity to push themselves in difficult content, though only one tank has been able to establish the largest community in Mythic Plus dungeons, and that tank class is the Protection Warrior. Protection offers a nice mix of defensives and offensives, capable of holding its own in AoE fights and single-target boss encounters. Protection defense is enhanced from a variety of class passives, which make them very easy for a healer to maintain. Generally, warriors are weak against magic, and Dragonflight dungeons are full of elemental damage. But new defensives like Spell Block make them a lot more survivable against their only real weakness. What makes warriors extremely strong is the ease of play. Compared to all the other tanks, warriors generally enjoy a simpler yet an effective playstyle, a safer choice in most groups, and are very forgiving to play for new players. With how strong melee classes are this season, the buff of Battle Shout also goes a long way in increasing group-wide performance. Finally, I want to highlight the most popular healers seen early success in Mythic dungeons, starting with the class of Druid. Restored Druid has found itself placed as the most popular healer choice in dungeon content. What makes them stand out is their healing, which is currently some of the strongest in group content. Their healing playstyle requires them in-depth knowledge of any fight to take advantage of healing over time effects, but once you know these dungeons like the back of your hand, keeping allies healthy comes easy to them, capable of maintaining their teams with or without cooldowns. Because of healing over time playstyle, you find a lot of downtime where you can contribute to group damage, which can be helpful when trying to beat the timer of any dungeon. Restoration Druids are a primary source of enraged dispels, which makes them a must-have on raging weeks, and provide a valuable buff of Mark of the Wild, which helps increase group damage and survivability. Next, we have the newest edition of the Dragonflight expansion, the Preservation Evoker. Evokers found themselves placed second to the Restoration Druid, but have been able to keep up closely since the launch of the seasonal content. Like Druids, Evokers' healing is quite powerful, and in-depth knowledge of the encounter helps them deal with group-wide damage easier. But unlike Druids, they use the main mechanic of Echo to copy the effectiveness of the primary heals. Setting a few echoes on allies allows them to share in powerful heals and passive effects, which helps maintain your party's survivability. Unlike druids though, evokers bring high damage into dungeon content, raining fire and devastation from their draconic abilities. Evokers are also masters of disruptions, able to knock back foes with powerful wings or send them flying with a well-positioned tail swipe. And the only big drawback of the evoker is the short casting range. Most evokers will succeed or fail based on their ability to position correctly in dungeon encounters. And for now, that's going to be the full list of classes seeing early success in the Mythic Plus dungeons. However, this list is likely to continue to change over the next few weeks, as players explore the depths of their classes, trying out various talent combinations to create a more competitive version of their favorite playstyles, which I plan to cover on this channel if we ever see a build that truly dominates the Mythic Plus environment. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single live stream and video, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video, or discuss with the other members of the community what other classes would you recommend for players to check out in the Mythic Plus dungeons. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.